Hello, hello. Uh-oh, we don't have Atari. Uh-oh. Let's find him. Hold on, we gotta find him. I got it. This song is so lewd and I make no apologies. I'm so mad that this guy didn't make it to the finals for Eurovision because this is fucking iconic. Hi, Riddle. How you doing? Hey, Doogies. What's going on? Welcome in, friends. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Pardon me while I eat my breakfast, even though it's noon here. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day so far, or evening. Okay. Okay. Let me go. All right. Time difference sucks. You're on when I'm about to sleep. No. Yeah, and it'll maybe be a little bit worse too when I move because I'm going to be moving 1 hour west. So it'll be potentially even later depending. But I also recognize I'm like 30 minutes late today. I was talking to my mom. Hi, Cal. How are you? Do we know if Chips was able to fix the computer situation? Sweet Lord. I got a million notifications. Hey, Carex, what's going on? Welcome in. Hello and welcome to the stream. Nothing yet, son of a gun. Yeah, the last time it really freaked me out, and it was my RAM. And it was the worst. And I had like the jump scare of the century. Awful. How's the cat? Oh, he's actually, yes, I can give an update on that. So he's doing okay. I don't know what happened. We're waiting to hear back from the doctor on his blood work, but I think that what it comes down to is he's just old. I think he got like a little bit of an upset tummy from something because he's just ancient and it messed him up for like 2 days. But as of like today, totally back to normal. No idea. Very, very weird. So we were able to get him into the vet really quickly and we're able to at least try and get some answers. But he is back to eating and everything is fine. So I have no idea. Jace has been joking how he thinks that it was an excuse. The cat was making an excuse for him to stay home from work so that way he didn't have to go to work and it was like all a scheme. School started today after a week. I have exam in 2 weeks. Ugh. Doing math at the moment, that's pretty gross. I'm just vibing. We're working a little bit on my portfolio today because I'm going to be at the end of the month. I'm going to be like starting to hard apply for jobs at game studios and at animation studios in Vancouver. So here's hoping that I can actually get this going. But we're going to be working on this today for storyboarding. Eventually what will be a storyboarding portfolio, but I have to do all of the previs like concept artwork before that point, and then we can go from there. But otherwise things are going. Yeah, cat's doing good. I was worried for a couple days because it was like kind of to the point where actually don't like this. It was kind of to the point where he was like not really interested in eating for like 2 days, which was really weird. And then today, like, and yesterday, he was just very eager to eat again, which I'm glad for. But it was, yeah, it was super strange. And when you went into the vet, they didn't see anything, like, wrong with him or anything. So it was just, yeah, all in all, really weird. But otherwise, everything is going okay. This is a lot of Rolo running and jumping. This man is about to do the most in this short. I just can't believe that the... Let's see, 1, 2, and then... I just can't believe that the section of Brady that we chose or ended up getting randomly selected was the one where he's literally traumatizing both of the kids. Hey, Gabriel, how's it going? Everybody should hydrate. I'm currently drinking electrolyte water for once in my life, so everybody should also hydrate. But other than that, my day is going to be mostly grading assignments, getting my classes for the next semester set up. I'm low-key kind of excited that I only have to grade or like teach like, I don't know, like 3 more semesters. And then I'm not going to be at REMCAT anymore, so... Oh, nice. Developing an OC. I love it. Well, feel free to share anything about your OC that you'd like. I'm sure it's really cool. Having vanilla ice cream. I love that for you, though. I'm eating a bagel. I got an everything bagel with some creamy cheese. Pretty great. I ain't mad about it. Quasi. Cal, do you live in here? Is this your house? Okay. Now the bummer is I have to do all of the damn tattoos is gonna really be what kills me here. But that's okay. That's alright. Nice. I call him Harris. He's a Greek myth OC. I love it. I'm playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey right now, and I feel like I went to Greece once, and that game is somehow horrendously offensive. Like, it's so bad. And the game itself is fine, but I'm playing as Alexios, and like, sweet God, I don't speak Greek that well. And I would consider, like, what I have going on, like, very rudimentary, very fundamental Greek. And the guy that plays Alexios' Greek pronunciation is so bad. It is, like, some of the worst ethnic voice acting I think I've ever heard in a game in my whole life. It is absolutely insane. I've heard that Cassandra is better, but, like, I cannot even believe that they thought that was an okay, like, voice acting decision. Holy butts. And I recognize that it was still in the dark times for Ubisoft before they kind of got their shit together again. But, like, wow. Odyssey is bad. Yeah, my God. It's just really annoying hearing the guys, like I think a lot of the extras are actually Greek, and they speak very well. And then hearing Alexios' actor mispronounce words like Athena is insane to me. And I think it was because partially, like, they couldn't pick a direction. Hold on. When... I need to do some research. When does AC Odyssey take place? 430 BC, give or take. So... In 400 BC, yeah, Athena was in classical Attic Greek. And so it's still, it would have been pronounced Athene, Athene, or Athene, yeah. But with their weird accent, it would have been Athene, potentially as well. But the T is really gentle. So point is that they're not doing the game in Attic Greek. It's in modern Greek. But the dude is a Canadian Greek actor. And if you look at how, like, let's say that they didn't want to have everybody speaking classical Attic Greek, because they definitely don't in that game. But if you're looking at Athena in Greek, where is the modern Greek spelling? I need modern Greek, not classic Greek. Thank you. Because I want to show an accent. Effectively, Greek is written with accents, just like Spanish is. And so if you look at this word here, Athena, it's Athena because there's an accent over the A. So these accents are really important. So that's going to be where you put the emphasis on the word, right? So Athena, right? So if you're talking about the city of Athens, you would say, welcome to Athena. Same thing, right? You have to really stress that final A. And I swear to God, every time I play this game, he's like, Athene, Athene, Athena, Athena. And I'm like, pick a fucking pronunciation. Literally just pick one and stick with it. Like, it doesn't even matter at this point which one you pick. Just pick one. Or like, there was a character named Diona, or Diona, and I don't even know how her fucking name was pronounced because they spelled Diona, and he kept pronouncing it as Diony. And I'm like, or Diony. And I'm like, you need to fucking pick a lane, sir. It is some of the worst voice acting I've ever seen. And I thought I was crazy. So I went to Google and I was like, is his voice acting really bad? Like, is it super, super bad? And every Greek person was like, I fucking hate this game. And I was like, oh no. So yeah, it bugs the shit out of me. I'm trying to get through the game, but it's like, holy God. The game itself is beautiful. The fact that I was able to find like the Theater of Athens by memory from when I was in Athens last summer, I'm like, the architecture fucking amazing. The city building amazing. The environment's amazing. Crete definitely looked like Crete. I was like, dang, this is crazy. I was able to find Knossos and Heraklion by memory, which is insane. So some of the stuff about it, I'm like, this is incredible. But the voice actor for Alexios legit pisses me off. So angry. Hydrated on tea. Oh, very nice, very nice. Decided to turn on Poppy Playtime. Or turn Poppy Playtime watching into a bingo game. Well, that's fun, though. Have fun with bingo. That sounds like amazing. I'm going to get off now. I really need to get math done by tomorrow. I'll be stuck in detention. Don't get detention, Riddle. We need you to live. I hope you have a good luck with your math homework. And thank you for popping in. It was good seeing you. Yeah, I just want Assassin's Creed Odyssey to not do that. I feel super weird about the whole thing because, like, I am not a Greek person. I have a Greek name. And, like, I'm pretty flexible even with how people pronounce my name because most Americans are going to pronounce it Tycho, and that's fine. I don't, like, when I was in Greece, people were pronouncing it as Tycho, which is great. You know, that's awesome. I don't care either way. Like I had a person pronounce my name in Greek in the eye doctor's office the other day, and I was like, oh, I found the one Greek person that works for this eye doctor because she was like Tico, and I was like, oh my God, there they are. I found them. But like for me, the pronunciation as an American doesn't really bother me that much. I recognized I chose the name based on aesthetic alone and not necessarily because I myself am Greek. But, like, watching a Canadian Greek man butcher the fuck out of every single Greek word, I'm like, bro, why? It's just like, it is the most painful shit that I've ever seen in my whole life. I don't. If I was the casting director, I would have been like, sorry, dude, you're fired. Like, we gotta go. And it's like little things. Like I don't know. I speak some languages and a lot of languages, some of a lot of languages. And it's insane shit to me when you have like a word like the ancient Greek monetary system, or the Greek monetary system is not even truly ancient Greek monetary system. Before they switched over to the euro was drachmi. Um, and the singular form of drachmi is drachma. It's one coin, right? You have penny versus pennies, right? Drachmi is multiple coins, drachma is one coin. And for the actors to pronounce singular drachma as drachma, or in most offensive cases, drachmi still, I'm like, bro, you're talking about a single dollar. We wouldn't say, can you give me $1? That's just not how grammar works. Like, I'm fucking, my mind is blown. I don't even, literally send me into an out-of-body experience. Will you be watching Christopher Nolan's Odyssey? I might. I typically don't tend to go to the movie theater often, but I do like Christopher Nolan's directorial style a lot. So I'm curious to see what happens. I hope that they don't do what happens to a lot of, like, I find, like, I would call it, like, ancient Greek treatment of a lot of stuff, or the Hollywoodization, I think is the word that I would use for a lot of Greek stuff, is that they just make everything really, really white, and so they take out, it's very westernized, they take out a lot of the Mediterranean influences from it. Like Clash of the Titans is a good example of that, where it's literally so bad that it's just almost impossible to get through because everything is just really whitewashed. So I'm hoping that Chris Nolan doesn't do that. It's been a trend in Hollywood to do that with more ethnic stories, and like, even though I myself am not a Christian, but like trying to watch the Noah's Ark movie, for example, Noah, I think it was called. What was that movie with Russell Crowe? Yeah, Noah, 2014. Whitest shit I've ever seen in my whole life. I'm like, how can you take a story about like ethnically Arab and Mediterranean people and cast Anthony Hopkins as Methuselah, or Methuselah? Like, everybody in the movie was white. That is insane to me. I hate that shit. So what I'm really hoping is that Chris Nolan is not going to do the same thing with Odyssey. I haven't seen it. When does that come out? Already we're not looking good. Matt Damon, it plays Odysseus. Tom Holland plays Telemachus. Elliot Page is in it though, so that's a plus. Zendaya does play Athena, so that I'll take that. At least she is like, and Robert Pattinson is playing. Well, see, now it's funny because Robert Pattinson playing Antonius as a Roman is actually more accurate than the rest of the cast. I don't know, just the fact that I'm not seeing any fucking Greek people in this movie is making me physically upset. Actually. I just don't get it. And I get that the stories are supposed to be kind of global. You know, like, obviously Homer wrote something that touches a wide variety of audiences. But, like, holy shit. Like, oh my god. So that's my biggest hesitation there, is that in general. I'm sure his directing and his writing is going to be amazing, but I'm getting really sick of seeing that happen over and over. Also, everybody should stretch and also sit up straight. Don't shrimp. What do you think of Epic the Musical? I love Anais Mitchell as a writer. That's actually one of my favorite things I think that has ever been made. Epic, the music album, is considered one of the only American folk operas, so I have deep respect for her. And she actually got the myth correct. So I feel like her interpretation of the Greek myths in particular is more accurate than, like, I feel like Ubisoft, they claim that they have historical research, and teams doing historical research, and then they produce something like AC Odyssey. You know, it's like, it's just overall not very accurate. Or like, again, Matt Damon as Odysseus. I'm like, bro, I'm pretty sure Matt Damon is as Greek as I am Greek. Yeah, Epic the Musical's amazing. I saw it, Last year, I think early in the spring, I bawled my eyes out. It's just exceptional. I've been listening to the folk albums since like 2015, I think. And so when I heard she was going to turn it into a musical, I was very stoked, just absolutely thrilled. I think she's, in my opinion, one of the best American songwriters that we have. Love it. It does do my boy Hades a dirty though, as someone who worships Hades. That is rough. Like it's rough, but I recognize he gets cast the bad guy stick often. It's not necessarily his fault. And to be fair, he ends up not being a bad guy at the end of the musical. He's just emotionally compromised. What if I monkey pose instead of shrimp? Don't come at me. Carricks, don't come at me. Me every day. In this chair, I'm like, my spine is fine if my limbs are just everywhere. Oh wait, I'm so stupid. Sorry, I realize I'm a dumbass. I'm talking about Hadestown. I went rogue. Epic the Musical is Jorge. I don't know why my brain jumped to Hadestown, but that makes a good point, actually. If you guys have not seen Anais or Mitchell's Hadestown, please do. But regarding Jorge's Epic the Musical opera album, I also really like it too. I think he did a really good job. And again, I think the myths are accurate. So, I'm cool. I love myth retellings and reinterpretations of stuff. I just read Mary E. Roach's We Are the Match, which is a retelling of the Paris of Troy myth. Amazing. So, a lot of people get it right. A lot of people just fucking don't. But at least I feel like Jorge and Anais both, when they reinterpreted those myths, they stuck with one specific pronunciation. Like, they stuck with the American pronunciation of stuff. So, you're not really going to hear somebody saying like Aries versus Aries. You know, Aries is going to be the more common pronunciation, which is fine. As long as you stick to your guns, I'm chill. I feel like God of War did the same thing. They stuck to their guns. It's not the most accurate shit in the whole world, but at least it's like consistent. Versus like Odyssey's a dumpster fire. Unleash Inner Wukong. True. Maybe he was right all along. Maybe Wukong was the right answer this whole time. And yeah, you can like always share your work on Discord. Yeah, you're totally welcome to do so. The writing share is a good place for that if you have written work. But the art share is good for art and doodles. This is not what I want. I need to like really hone in on Rollo's stupid eyeball. Yeah, Hadestown is exceptional. I literally bawled my eyes out. I hope that Jorge can maybe one day get to a point where he can create a stage version of Epic, because I think that it would be really, really cool. I think that it would be, yeah, an exceptional extension of the project. My favorite Anais Mitchell Hadestown song is either Hey Little Songbird or The Wall. I really like both of those, but they're both like Hades songs. They're incredible. I gotta remember, stylistically, this portfolio is slightly different from my regular style because this is for kids animation. So I have really simplified shapes compared to like all of the stuff that I normally do, and the way that I'm rendering noses is also completely different. So I have to like recheck my style, and especially it's been like several months since I've worked on this. I gotta make sure that I don't butcher it. Yeah, you can drop it in the writing share. You can drop a link to Google Docs in the writing share. That's totally fine. A lot of people use Google Docs in there. Also, hi Aqua. I love how the Darius like touch tips emote is like the emote of choice today. I just got a really great review on King of Dust recently, actually, so that was amazing. It's up to 14 reviews on Amazon now, so that is very exciting. Okay, let me open up his turnaround because I'm suffering here. There we go. Hi, Chips. I'm sorry your pew-pew's being stinky. I'm sorry that that's happening. I will karate chop it. Sometimes you just gotta give it a good old whack. Yeah, I personally haven't read a lot of, like, myth like, I would highly recommend We Are the Match by Mary Roach if anybody's looking for a good myth retelling, just because it was so stunning. That's like a modern Greek mafia lesbian retelling of the Paris of Troy myth, and it was insanely good. Really great book. But I tend to not read a lot of, like, modern myth retellings. I'm very particular about it, I recognize, partially from, like, a religious standpoint, but partially from, like, a accuracy standpoint. Like, I find, like, I love the idea behind Percy Jackson, but the execution in a lot of them, the older books especially, the newer ones he's gotten a lot better about it, but the older ones are just, like, straight inaccurate. They're really poorly written. Oh, yeah, it could be it. And that would suck. I hope it's not the motherboard for the sake of expense, because, like, that's where that shit gets expensive for no reason. But I hope it's not. I can't believe I'm gonna have to draw Uncle Rollo chasing a bunch of fucking children around the house. I get to storyboard him literally traumatizing 2 children for $5. Oh, whoops! I realized I'm a silly. I was like, something I missed over here, and it's like, yeah, his arms are naked. I'm a fool. There we go. In order to make sure that I don't mess up what's going on, let me get this going here. Oh, I also forgot that over here too. There we go. I'm working on my portfolio, and I'm going to soon have to apply to a bunch of game studios. So I am working on trying to finish up the storyboarding portion of my portfolio, so that way I can get through this. I've got all the King of Dust portion, like the video game portion of my stuff, worked out, which is good, but I need, there's so many animation studios in Vancouver that I have to, like, get to the point where I have storyboarding and stuff in my portfolio as well, because otherwise I'm going to be kind of high and dry there. So we're just getting through Rollo's model packet really fast, and for those of you who are new to the stream or to my process, effectively I create these 3D models using a program called Daz, and then that makes sure I have consistent anatomy and proportions across all of my drawings when I'm making something that's this technical, like a model packet, where the goal is to be really precise with what you're doing. And then I can use this model packet later when we're working on the actual storyboards themselves, I can use this model packet as a reference for all of my freehand drawings when I get over to that spot. So we're finishing up poses. We've already got Rollo's turnaround and his thumbnails done. This is the last character for this short, which is really exciting. So I'll be able to move on to props and environment after this. Is going to be the next big thing that we cover. So I'm going to have to do some isometric drawings, some orthographic drawings of environments, and then I have to determine whether or not there are any hero props or things like that based on the script. So I'm actually what may happen next, I'll do the environment, but I probably, before doing props, will have to go through and oh yeah, duh, why am I like this? I'll have to go through and make sure that I have all of my hero props listed out, and so that can include things like Brady's backpack, or like Kara's backpack, since she's going to have that. I don't imagine that there's going to be a lot of props necessarily that are going to be really crazy, but making a list of that effectively by going through and writing the script out. So we'll do a little bit of script writing on that as well, to try and make sure that we're good to go, and I don't miss any like important props when doing the development of this project. Is going to be the next important thing. So a little bit of a chunky process, but I've so far created, let me open up all of the model packet stuff, or actually I can just show it on my website because I got everything uploaded there, I'm pretty sure. I have, welcome to my blue sky. I have all of the stuff going for, I'm gonna eventually have like a children's animation button, I think. So that'll happen eventually, but I have all of these finished now. So this is Brady, the main character, and he gets a full expression sheet because he's the star of the show here, and his turnaround. And then Kara, who's a major side character here. And then I have her turnaround. And then B, who's Brady's cousin. We did some outfit work. And then all of his poses. He doesn't really have expressions because he has his wooden head. So I did detail shots of the head. And then Rollo is the one I'm working on right now. So it is happening. Slowly but surely, it is going. For those of you unfamiliar with the content, Brady Von Altus is a middle grade book series that I wrote in like 2017, 2018. There are 5 books total, and all of them won awards, which is crazy. So they're all readers' favorite 5-star award winners. Brady 1 was an Amazon #1 bestseller. And then I'm working on some novellas, so that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow, is we're going to be actually writing the Liz novella, because I have to write 2,000 words of Liz's novella for a Wattpad contest. Since I'm already working on it. I started on Baresis, and I didn't want to go out of order, but this particular contest fits Liz's theme literally perfectly, and so I thought that it would be really dumb if I don't enter this contest with this novella. So we're going to do that. But yeah, I love these books so much. We're going to be working on a scene from the first Brady book where Brady invites his friend Kara over to his house for the first time because Brady's not allowed to have people over to the house because the house is filled with a bunch of magical creatures. Like Brady's grandma is a fairy, she's a Mavka. Also, his aunt is like a swamp witch, and his dad is a Barghest, so he has like a fireball for a head. And ultimately, Grandma has decided that it is not safe for humans, except for Brady's mom, to be in the house at any point in time. So Brady's not allowed to bring his friends over, but he decides that he's going to bring Kara over, despite being told no. And then Rollo, who is being forced to haunt the house as the dead uncle, decides that in order to break the deal that Grandma has put in place to keep him from being able to leave the house, he is going to get $5.27 from this kid at all costs, and so then proceeds to Ghostbusters his way around the fucking house, trying to get money, like lunch money, off of this kid, and it is low-key traumatizing for pretty much everybody involved. Rollo's not a bad guy, he's just a fucking idiot. Alright. I love working with these models because it makes conceptualization and consistency like so easy. Okay, nice. Oh, he has no hair. Don't tell anybody, guys, but Rollo's bald now. Okay. And now we need the tattoo. There he goes. So eventually what this will be is a completed animatic that I can have on my website so that I can really show people, like, yes, I do a little bit of everything. And what I'm really hoping to get hired for is, like, previs. But if I get stuck in a position of, like, storyboarding, I'm not going to be mad about it. So it really just depends on kind of which studios end up biting and which ones don't. Because then I don't have to worry about getting a visitor's extension at all for my visa. I can just apply for jobs and it'll be all good. I don't know if this thing would be in 2D or in 3D. I think I would personally prefer 3D or 2D, pardon me, but I think most likely if this thing were to get pitched, it would be logistically easier to produce in 3D, as with most things. All right, Rollo. All right, so now we're done with this. So now we're going to do expressions and get these lined up. Each character needs 5 expressions. Oh, haha. Group these, make these poses, and then I need to open up like I think I actually have the expressions. Oh, I do not. Oh yeah, I do actually. I was like, I swear I have the expression sheet somewhere. So we're gonna go with these. 54 was what I just rolled. Oh, this one's cute. Okay, so let's get... Oh, I can turn off. Let me turn off the brush name. I don't care about that. Okay. Okay, so now I really need to... Oh yeah, I forgot too that I let me also grab like a head angle reference as well. Whoa, what is this? Whoa, crazy. Check this shit out. I can put my face like this and be like, hey, I want a male who is 5 to 14 years old from that angle. That's crazy. Some of them are more accurate than others, but that's pretty nuts. That's pretty nuts. I don't need that specifically, but I respect that. Okay, I'm gonna do another one. Okay, so we're gonna go kind of a tilted down face, I think. From the front. The goal is to try and get as many like expressions from different angles as humanly possible. So actually, let me bust open that head angle thing again. I said I didn't need it. But actually though, this thing is going to be elite. Amazing. Let me drag this back over here because structurally I don't need it right now. Oh my god, is this the most based fucking reference of all time? It's hard because a part of me is like, I should use symmetry, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try and bring his shoulders up a little bit. When doing these poses, or like these expressions, it's really important to have like some of the body in the shot, so that way the like body language can be shown as well, because otherwise it gets a little weird. It gets a little funky, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so then this is where these are all gonna go, and then this ear goes like this ear goes like this. Okay, cool. Well, that's super useful. Wow, that's crazy. All right. I do feel like I'm going to need to tweak this. Yeah, this always happens to me. There we go. Now it's not crooked. It still is a little bit crooky here, so let's fix it. That'll work. have to remember how to, like, draw these eyeballs. Hello? For this, did I did give him an iris, or a pupil. Goodbye. And then we have the thing going on. Let me do this. We're going to do this. We're going to put this right in the middle. We're going to flip horizontal because I'm lazy. And now he's terrifying. Did you guys not want to look into the eyes of fear today? Did you not want that? People are like, what do you mean when you say trust the process? And I'm like, that. Okay, so far, this is fine. We're going to see how this goes. All right, so this is where this gets really interesting. I have to try and figure out how best to... Yeah, this is fine. This style is just like so... the opposite of what I typically do. So let me figure out how to make this line art more interesting. Yeah, that's better. And also, too, I need to make sure that my jawline is correct here. Goodness. It is so dusty in Colorado. It is so bad. Sweet mercy. Gosh darn it. God, he looks like he's 12 without a mustache. I don't know what's happening. Let me move some stuff around too. This is going to be... Doing faces, surprisingly, from the front actually are literally the worst. Well, and all of my lines are so simplified compared to what I typically do. So normally I'd be throwing in like, actually I'm not a fan of, hold on. I'd normally be throwing in like, lines for hair or things like that. But like for the case of animation, I can't do that. Hello? Hold on. We're experiencing what I would call a crisis here. Hi, Ava. I'm doing okay. Jace is alright. He had a pretty bad allergic reaction a couple days ago because he is allergic to smoke. And somebody in our apartment, despite the fact that we are a non-smoking apartment complex, decided to smoke inside. And so it effectively filled our entire hallway with smoke. And that made him have a super bad allergic reaction when we were coming back up into the apartment. And so he's not feeling super good, but he went to work. Any and all smoke. But cigarette smoke is particularly abrasive because of all of the carcinogens that are in it. Campfire smoke, he can't really like sit in front of a campfire. It will get kind of bad, but like cigarette smoke, because of all the chemicals that are typically in cigarettes, tends to be worse. So unfortunately, he woke up this morning and it was like he had swallowed like 20 razor blades. It was just really painful. Okay, hold on. I need that Sketchfab fedora. Let me do this on a new layer. Now I gotta get rid of this so that I can actually see. Actually, before I put this hat on him, I take it back. Let me fix this jaw situation here. And actually, now I am going to turn symmetry on. Hold on. That way I can, hello? All right. Actually have a symmetrical head here. And I need to bring it up just a little bit. So let me do that. Because I want to make sure that also too this head is too large. So that's part of the problem that's happening here as well. But that's okay. We're going to work it out. We're going to work it out. Why are you not fucking center? Hello? No, that's weird. Okay, well, I guess I'm turning symmetry off. It was a fun experiment for 5 seconds, but... Hello? Okay, so now I need to fix this because this is awful. There we go. Better. The anatomy was kind of funky, but we got it. We're fixing it. Oh yeah, no, we already sent an email. Yeah, no, they shouldn't be smoking inside because ultimately what'll happen too is that they'll set off the fucking fire alarms, and because this building is so big, we have like fire doors and shit that close, and then everybody has to get up. They all have to evacuate the building. We have to all go out into the parking garage because it'll set off literally every fire alarm in the building. Then the fire department has to come from across the street, come into our building, turn the fire alarms off. It is like a massive pain in the ass. So annoying. Like literally they shouldn't have done it. It was like in the elevator. It was really bad. Because I can understand if you're on a property that's like a smoking allowed property, but most properties here in the city of Denver are not smoking allowed. Actually, I recognize that this symmetry might be a little funky, but I'm drawing a hat, so I want this to be as accurate as humanly possible. I'm gonna end up having to move this, which is okay, but it's just a matter of making sure that this stays in the... No, funny story about how, actually, this is going to cover a lot of his eyes, I realize. Would you look at that? And most of his eyebrows. That's fine. Interesting story, but... hats suck. But to be honest, Symmetry Tool is the GOAT. Because in other circumstances, I'd be having to, like, just draw one half of it and then flip it horizontally. But this makes sure everything is actually, like, truly symmetrical. Sure. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn symmetry off now and extend this one over, and we're going to do kind of an asymmetrical. And then let me figure out, do I need to bring this? Actually, this may be a situation in which there are no eyeballs. Hold on. God, he looks like such a fucking edgelord. Hold on. I'm going to keep the eyes, even though this is not necessarily the most accurate angle, which means that I do need to go like this, and then I need to shrink this like this a little bit. There we go. Better. Yeah, people break the rules all the time. Even like weed smoke will do it to him too. Some things are better, like, it's not the tobacco itself that's the problem, because, like, Jace can, like, smoke hookah, for example. That's not an issue, but, like, astringency of the smoke is generally the problem. But we haven't heard back from our landlord yet. I'm assuming it's, something that he'll hear to his email and not to me, so I'm just kind of vibing. Hold on, I gotta like look at my anatomy again. Stylistically, I realize that a lot of the problem actually is this. Hee hee. Hold on. Oh my god, downward angles, bro. This high key sucks. The hat is gonna fucking end my life. Okay. 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 Not bad. Not bad. Can you imagine American apartment complexes having standards? What is that? That's crazy. To be fair, this is the first apartment complex that I've ever lived in that has actually had some kind of like responsiveness from the landlords themselves, where they actually like, if you raise a complaint and you have an issue, they'll actually do something about it, versus other places that I've lived in. Like the last place I lived in had somebody playing fucking reggaeton above us for, I shit you not, like almost a year. And the landlord did nothing. Like, they decided that the offenses were not severe enough to actually evict them, and then they just waited for his lease to expire. We ended up having like weird black shit in our water heater, and so all of our water, like there was a part of the water heater that was like oxidizing. I don't really fucking, not a huge fan of this. Hold on. I'm going rogue. Yeah, so this apartment is like what I would consider like leagues better. But the typical like American standard is like, yeah, the landlord does nothing, your stairs fall in on themselves, and then you die as your apartment catches on fire. And nothing will save you. We had to like file complaints with the Attorney General. I'm surprised that the apartment did not get shut down, to be honest. And then they wonder why people like don't like pay their rent on time and shit. It's like, you guys are doing nothing for us. Like, you're literally making this environment impossible to live in, and then are mad when we don't pay rent. You absolute freaks of nature. I'm like, if you charged the Roaches rent, they'd probably pay enough money for you to handle the whole apartment costs. Like, that'd be crazy. This man looks like he's about to fucking hatch a scheme. He's like, hold on. I'm about to con so many Swiss people out of money. So many Americans are gonna lose so much money to this fake timeshare that I'm about to invent. You have no idea how absolutely ineffective. I kind of want to do the, let me see. I need to turn this color, whatever this is, into pure gray. Whatever that is. Are these about the same color? Give or take. Because I feel like his face looks really fucking naked without it. So I am going to include this on the illustrations, even though they're blocked in. And then let me go in and get an eraser. That's fine. Does that at least make some kind of a difference here? Oh, and I also realized that I did do, like... Also, I feel like... Hold on. Stupid hats. Hats are literally the devil. Why did humans invent hats? Like, I understand we have to protect our heads from the ouchie ouch of both the sun and the cold. But I'm going to need humans to take a step back and really ask themselves the question, was this worth it? Because I think the answer is probably not. Probably not. That'll do. Okay, so let me turn this back on. So then this gets to go like this. And it gets to go over here. So that way I can have all of this on one sheet. And actually, I feel like this one can go down here like this and be a little bit bigger. And actually, all of these can go down here like this. He has become Robbie Rotten from Lazy Town. I ain't even mad. All right, let's do another one. Can we get this out of the way? This is a little too manic for kids media. Oh, that one's cute. Okay, sure. Actually, let me rotate this even further down. Yeah, see, as soon as I go from another angle, so much better. Let me do some blocking in of where this nose is going to be. Because I need... Oh yeah, I love this. Nice. Nice. Again, only flip this, figure out... Nope, we're good. Look at that. Warming up also helps. I flip this way? I'm flipping a million layers, don't tell anyone. Now, overall, I'm going to go a little smaller with this. Flip it back. I feel like, though, this is a little bit too much. Here we go. There we go. Nice. Not as wide. Okay, but he's low-key adorable, actually. Okay, I also need to make sure this comes back here like this. That was a little bit too far out. We anatomy. That's all I gotta say. Actually, this is a little bit too wide. Yeah, looks nice. All right, not bad. Not bad at all. I will, overall, I always do this to myself. There we go. There we go. Now I gotta go find that stupid fedora again. So I'm gonna leave this alone. Stylization is hard. All right. Okay, so now I gotta do this stupid hat. Or maybe I just decide to not do a hat. Where is this one where I'm like, hats are stupid? I think that that's what's happening. I don't feel bad actually. I'm gonna actually bring this whole hairline down a little bit as well. That's all right. We can make that work just a little, not by a lot. Okay, why is this? This is great. We just flip it and make sure we look okay. Yep, we're looking good. Wow. Slowly working, slowly happening. Stretch! Oh my god, I was really crusty. That was definitely for the best. Thank you for that reminder, because sweet lord. As my shoulders are like breaking, I'm okay. I'm like, my neck hurts. It's like, yeah, because you're sitting like a weirdo. You absolute heathen. My neck hurt. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. Let me turn this back on. Hello. And then I'm going to go like this. I can feel my trapezius muscle. That is exactly where I'm at. I'm like the little thing connecting my neck to the rest of my body is spicy. Ultra spicy right now. And not in a good way. Not in like a, not in a teehee kind of way. Alright, let's roll another one. I'm rolling right along. Rolling right along. Alright, 17. This is so grumpy. That's really funny. Okay, we're gonna do this from a very strange angle, and I'm scared. Move this out of the way. This is actually could have been so much worse, but we're okay. Be a star. I'm gonna go a little thinner on this neck. There we go. He's a little bit of a skanky bitch, you know. He's a little skangly, bro. He's a little bit skangle. Just a little crispy. He's just a little crispy guy. We got a pretty severe eye roll happening here. This is the Liz just told me that we're ordering Chinese takeout for dinner face. Oh my god, this eye roll. Bro, it's so dramatic. Oh my god, he's so unnecessary. Oh my god, why is he like this? I might move this eye a little bit this direction. Oh my god. Let me go back to my 100 here. Oh my god, he's so angry. Oh, he's so angry. Oh my god, let me crack you like a glow stick. I can't. So I asked my my husband, I'm very lucky, he's a massage therapist. And I, no joke, will ask him every time I go in to get a massage from him. I'm like, bro, I'm gonna need you to break my body. I'm gonna need you to physically mess me up. Oh my god, what is this expression? He's so angry. Oh my god, he's so mad. Oh, he's so angry. Oh my god, I am tickled. Oh. Oh, that's art. Oh god, AI would never understand the joy that I just experienced. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's so funny. Alright, this is going to be a really annoying angle for this hat, though. But getting this angle is really important because making sure that your hat or whatever looks good from all angles is pretty huge. That's a little bit thick. Hold on. Oh, there we go, better. Oh my god, no, that's this guy's entire character. He died in 1994 because he got hit by a train, and his sister has literally never let him forget it. Every 5 minutes, she's like, hey, you remember when you were a dumbass? And he's like, He's getting yelled at for stupid shit. That's what this face is. You weren't here, so we ordered orange chicken. He hates Chinese takeout. He's just not a fan of American Chinese food. And so his sister uses every excuse she possibly can to be like, hold on. Yep, he well he's American, but he lived in Russia, yes. Raised by a Ukrainian fairy, so kind of sort of. He's fluent in Russian. Oh my god. This is it. This is the funniest face I've ever ever drawn in my whole life. Okay, hold on. I gotta do this hat. Hold on. All right, let me make sure. Okay. New layer. Rolo takes everything personally. Honestly, to be fair though, Liz has some pretty good zingers. Like, she's pretty good at getting under his skin. But to be equally fair, he doesn't have to poltergeist around the whole fucking house and prank people by like walking out of fucking closets unexpectedly, or I don't know, making and it's a banging explosion noise in the middle of the night just because he thinks it's funny. Like, he doesn't have to do this, but he does. So he kind of, I don't know, if it's a little bit of a FAFO situation. He didn't ask for this, but also this is entirely your own fault. Actually, this was like the easiest angle to draw this hat from. What the hell? I feel like the other hat I was suffering, but this one was just like, welcome. Time for a sploopy hat. Like just a little hat. Oh god, Tudor fashion. That's a rabbit hole. God. Well, and sometimes finding historic, like good historic fashion, like research art is like really hard. It's like unnecessarily difficult for no reason. And then now too with AI everywhere, it's like you're never sure if what you're looking at is like actually decent or if it's just like you have to wade through 4 years of AI generated slop in order to actually get to a reference. I'm not a fan. I don't like. Rolo never ceases to make me smile. If you like silly books for kids that are along the lines of like a series of unfortunate events or like the Addams Family, you know, like that kind of like lightheartedness and good solid fun, I would highly recommend my Brady books. Oh my god. He's so mad. He's so angry. All right. Yep. Quality content. Sometimes he's not a pain in the ass, but most of the time he is. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is I love doing these character sheets though. They're 100% worth it. I feel like he's got some really good dynamic poses as well. Lots of movement. I'm gonna maybe need to make these heads just overall smaller, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Looks like I'm gonna have to move some of these out of the way so that way I can fit more expressions. I'm gonna move this over here a little. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's such a mood though. You're like, why did you put this on your body? Like, no, my favorite thing was it from the Tudor period when they were plucking their hairlines? Yes. I think they were doing really weird stuff. Yeah, like, bro, what is this? Like, ugh, guys, this was not the way. This was not the way. Put that hairline back. Put it back where it came from. Like, I'm not sure why the look was like, hold on, I need a dome. I want the light to reflect off my dome like a laser beam. Oh, I actually have a character that has a luck-based... Like, I wouldn't consider it luck-based magic. He just happens to be very hilariously lucky. I typically use, like, a D20 and just do, like, standard, like, D&D rules where it's, like, if it's above a 10, it's a success. If it's above, like, a 18, it's a crit success. But if it's below a 10, then it's, like, really stupid shit. And that's how McDoon jumped off of a horse and missed the wagon. That's all I have to say. Oh my god, no, it's true though. Well, and like, I feel like with that period, there were so many, like, they had just so much fabric on. It was just like a lot. Oh, this is kind of a more like genuine expression. That's a surprise. Normally, Roll is not very honest. He's not a bad person. He's just not very honest. Fabric Hikey kind of sucks just in general though. Like it's really hard. Oh, and I'm gonna do sideways look here. So let me do that. We're gonna go completely to the side. This head's probably in the wrong spot, but we're not going to worry about that too bad. I just really would love to get a job in the industry so I don't have to work like fucking 5 jobs anymore. That'd be insane. That'd be really, really good. So, best of luck to me on that. I'm going to have him kind of leaning forward like there's something that's being said to him that is really upsetting potentially. There we go. Nice. Man, that first one was like a really rough pose to warm up to be honest. Hi, Gamby, how you doing? Oh, yes, I do remember that character. That's cool. Yeah, no, I like that kind of a power set. That's really neat. Luck-based magic is always fun. Okay, actually, I don't mean that. I just can't stop looking at it. Oh my god. I'm doing pretty good. We're drawing really silly expressions for my my model packet for my character. We ended up with a really funny expression and now I am feeling alive. Oh my god, I'm feeling it. Are you feeling it, Mr. Krabs? Cause I am. I really like Rolo's profile though. He's got a gorgeous, like he is a pretty man. He's just a big stupid dummy. That's all. Let's see, and am I doing just like a slightly open mouth? Yeah. He's just a dumbass. That's all I have to say. I'm actually gonna move his ear forward. I made a mistake. But not a bad one, just a mistake. Not an irreversible one. This is why we do sketches, though, because then you can course correct underneath. Oh my god, no, he's so good. Everybody that's read the Brady series loves Rollo so much, and he's a good guy at heart. He really is. He died at 28 years old, so he's not necessarily the smartest tool in the shed, but he does a good heart. He ends up being really important for the story. He is, like, the way that I have the Brady books kind of set up is that Brady, the adults are kind of the vehicle for Brady as a 10-year-old, like 11-year-old-ish, give or take, to learn lessons. And so, like, Rollo's biggest issue is that of, like, honesty. And so that's his biggest struggle. But by the end of it, he figures out how to tell the truth and make up, like, actually own for his mistakes and make things right in the best way that he can anyway. You do what you can. This book series is definitely a lot about kids realizing that adults aren't perfect, and, like, that's just the nature of things. Like, you want adults to be the ones with all the answers and to be reliable, but, like, not all adults are reliable. And so, like, that's definitely the cornerstone of this entire project is that. Oh, also we got a ooh-woo. Welcome back from breakfast. I hope you had a good brekkie. Yeah, we love Rollo in this house. There's a reason I'm writing a whole novella about this stupid dumbass. Okay, and this is also, too, I run into this issue a lot. I don't know why this happens to me. My scaling for my heads is just, like, really bad. I just consistently have this problem. Couldn't tell you why. But my brain just goes, this is enormo. And I'm like, no. That is not correct. That is not correct. Oh. My favorite part of the series, though, like, I will say, Rollo's a resourceful son of a bitch. I will throw that out there. But my favorite part of the series is where I think it's in Changeling Children, when they need to, like, get back to the or they need to open a portal into or no, I guess it is I guess it is Changeling Children. I can't remember. It's either 3 or 4, but they need to be able to get back someplace. God, no, maybe it is the final book. My timeline's all messed up. But they need to be able to get somewhere, and they use Rollo's fucking ectoplasmic energy to make a electromagnetic field strong enough to get a portal open, and so they have to use him as a glorified car battery, and it's really funny. Pretty iconic. Dimitri's like, hold on, guys. B's like, I got news for you guys. We can use Uncle Rollo as a car battery. Everyone's like, this is stupid. But it works. It ends up working out. Also, too, I do think that it's funny to know that, like, the only thing that can really take Rollo down from, like, a logistics standpoint is liquid oxygen. Or just straight up necrotic magic. That's it. Otherwise, dude's literally invincible. This dude drops 7-Elevens for fun. Like, I don't know, man. He is what he is. He is just a guy. That's all I gotta say. Hi, Badrick. I hope you're doing good. I'm doing all right. Working on some portfolio work for once, which is fun. It's very rare that gets to be what I work on, but Next week or next month, I guess it is next week at this point, we get back into working full swing on some commissions, so I have to double check what's on my schedule. Next month's going to be kind of busy, but that's all right. Oh, nice. I hope that goes really, really well. Addams Family is such a great stage show. Like, all in all, my favorite is I saw this TikTok of this woman who was playing grandma, and every time she had an entrance, it was like her first entrance, she would sing a random song coming on. And so, like, some days it would be like Mambo number 5. Or like some days she'd be like, "This shit is bananas, BANANA," and then like come on the stage, and it's like so funny. Or no, I think she said this witch is bananas, BANA. It's just funny, quality content. I respect the Grandma Adams actors of the world. I really do. So iconic. I hope that you have a lot of fun though. It's a great show to light too. We were using a recording for cues, and there was such a long gap for people laughing at Grandma. Well, it's because like she's like low key the best character. I have to try and explain to people. I'm like, so the Brady books are like that, but if Grandma was evil, and then everyone's like, why would you do that? I'm like, look, man, there can be only one good Grandma, and it's Grandma Adams. It ain't Gran from the Brady books. That Grandma crazy. People are like, what is the plot of this book? And I'm like, if Encanto, if the grandma was just evil. Oh, also everybody should hydrate. I'm actually almost done with my Wawa at this point. My electrolyte Wawa, finally. There can be only one. That clip is me every time I step into my room. Yet to get tea. I can't. uh, the plot is family trauma. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm definitely drawing a lot off of like my experiences with my family and how I watched like my grandma's toxic shit just pull my like family apart, or like my grandpa's toxic shit effectively. Like I lost like effectively every single one of my grandparents except for one of them, two being toxic pieces of shit. Like there was only one grandpa that I had a super good relationship with, and then he died peacefully in his sleep, and he was just like the most iconic fucking grandpa of all time. And then all of the other ones are just trash. So yeah, a lot of this book is based off of how like yeah, systemic um abuse can really lead to a lot of negative thinking that people have about themselves, for sure. Yeah, my grandma, see, and it's tough because the grandma that died recently that had mad dementia, she wasn't bad, but she definitely had a lot of learned behaviors that were like really, really, really bad. But like the grandpa, the final remaining grandpa that I have that's alive is like the meanest piece of shit. He's so mean. And it's like you had one job. You could have been a nice person, and you chose this. So when they stick a Gran in the Jumanji box in the fucking woods at the end of the series, I'm like, I wish I could stick my mean ass grandpa in the Jumanji box in the ocean and just throw him out there. And that'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty choice. They literally banished Grandma to the Shadow Realm in this book. Like... But that being said, if anybody's looking for books to read and review and you have not read or reviewed the Brady books, let me know. I give my books away for free because I want people to be able to enjoy them. And it's super hard as a indie author to get reviews, so I always offer those up. And if you review them, you get a commission in exchange too, so that's pretty sick. God, this is the worst face angle of all face angles here. This is going to be a really sad expression here. Bye, Badgerix. See you later. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for stopping in. Yeah, Rollo's a really sensitive guy in that way. He's not very good at, like, taking... I don't know, he bottles up a lot of the shit that he's thinking about. But, like, that I think is pretty true of all the Von Altus siblings, really, is that they end up not really expressing themselves in the way that they should, and then that leads to a lot of weird family issues, because part of it is, like, toxic grand mentality, and, like, she's also Eastern European as well, so it's a lot of, like, you don't fuck up, right? There is no excuse for imperfection. And so these kids all internalize that, and I think Boris did a really good job of making sure that his family, his son doesn't have that issue, but, like, Liz on the opposite end of the spectrum, the way that she raised Dimitri, the way that she raised B, like, he also doesn't really express emotions very well, both because of his, like, disability, but then also, too, because of, like, he's afraid to do so because his mom is not very receptive as a person. So it's like, on the one hand, Brady is like, he's okay, but then on the other hand, like, Dimitri has to unlearn a lot of, like, really toxic ass behaviors as well. Okay, this looks like ass for right now, but I promise it'll get better. We'll get there. And I think, like, Liz resents Rollo a lot for really freely expressing a lot of emotion. Because it's like, Mom told me that I had to keep it bottled up, and you're not doing that. So, like, that's not fair. If I had to suffer, you had to suffer. I'm actually going to change this eye shape here. I'm pretty sure Rollo spent a lot of his time in, like, the early days when nobody could really see or hear him, living in that attic, like, just crying, like... Because for the first, like, I would argue probably, like, 5 to 10 years, no one could even see him. So it was like, yeah, it was really bad. It weren't great. Actually, you know what? For the sake of this short, I don't think I need this expression. I don't want to render something that I'm not going to use. Actually, this is really funny, but I think I did this for Brady or Kara. Hold on, let me go look. Oh my god. An avocado! Thanks! Oh, happy birthday, Gabriel. Happy late birthday. Not really relevant for this short either. No, that one's not bad. Okay, we'll try this. Ugh. Blah. Oh, this angle is rough. See, now, hold on. Actually, if I'm gonna do this, I want, like... Rolo has some crazy expressions that I could be potentially playing with here, and I'm limiting myself. Sure. Sure. Hey, winning $55 playing bingo is fun. I'm glad that you do tacos for your birthday, though. That sounds like really, really fun. Oh my goodness. They're making a pony version of me for their story. That is cool. I haven't really watched a lot of My Little Pony. I've heard mixed reviews of it. Either people really, really love it, and they're like, this is the friendship is magic, or there's like a bunch of weird commentary that I've heard where it's like, the ponies are racist, and I'm like, oh no. It's either like one or the other. There's like no in between. Oh yeah, sure. Feel free to ask any questions. That's what I'm here for. Y'all are nicer than my students most of the time, so I do appreciate it. I'm so done teaching at this school. It's okay. I'm almost free. Let me figure out if this is what I want. Yeah, we're looking okay. Oh, what am I teaching? I teach a bunch of different animation classes. I teach at an animation department at an arts college, but I mostly teach concept art and script writing. So it's a lot of like character development, concept art, and Yeah, I'm teaching an animation script writing class for the first time next semester, which is really fun. So I loved like the teaching, like what I teach, but like boy howdy, I've been having a lot of problems this like last semester, these last 8 weeks with students submitting AI, and that's been like the biggest struggle, both in concept art classes and in digital painting classes. So they're supposed to be learning how to do like Photoshop and stuff, and then instead they're like submitting AI, which has been a huge pain in the butt, and it's just been like, I don't know, not the funnest teaching experience. Really rough. Okay, Ashley, yes. I don't have any background for her other than being the childhood best friend of my main characters and her powers. Typically, when I go to develop new characters, one thing that you can do is do what is called a character generata. And effectively, you can Google like character questionnaires. Sometimes those are pretty good resources. But effectively, you're going to answer as many questions as you can about that character, coming up with new stuff on the go if you have to, so that you can better understand that character. I like to personally do mine from first person, so that way I can get a like insider look into how the character thinks and their head, if they don't, just jump out at me or like are not as clear in terms of like my inception for them. But those character questionnaires can be really helpful. Oh, this angle is rough. I might actually just draw the hat. I'm like, this hat is... The hair is annoying. And I'm like, well, you know what? I have a solution for that. I have a hat. I have this thing that I can do, and I can put a hat on him. Okay, let me just draw the forehead first and foremost. We're gonna do that first. Forehead. This angle's awful. And the head is fine. It was mostly the hair. So let's do the hat. Let me do a new layer. And actually, this is so easy from this angle. Let me clean this up a little bit. There we go. Hat. And then, now that I have this, I feel like, hold on. Do I need to, wait a second. I'm going rogue. Don't tell anybody. This angle is literally the worst. This is like, I of course I rolled this angle at the end of the day as the last thing to do for this character, because of course I did. There we go, that's a little bit better. It was mostly because his damn head was too close to his eyebrow. Rough. Not the worst, but could be better. Fix this because now this looks like a tangent. All right, we'll just keep. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going with it. We're gonna let it go. When you're researching characters that are not ethnicities of you, doing or the same ethnicity as you, doing the most amount of research that you can in an authentic way is really important. I always recommend going and following, like, especially when you're working with mixed characters, for example. So, say, like in your case, you have an indigenous person. You have to ask yourself the question culturally, how indigenous is the person, right? And so, as somebody, for me, I come from an indigenous family myself. My abuelo was half indigenous, so he was half Chiricahua and Puebloan and probably a little bit of Diné as well. That's Navajo. Um, but because he was raised in the Catholic orphanage system, he was raised very white, and so he did not attend. We didn't go to any events on reservations. We didn't eat cultural foods. We didn't have any connection to the culture at all because my abuelo was completely removed from that. And so, especially when dealing with indigenous characters in the United States, it's really important to acknowledge and recognize that a lot of people were removed from their culture and don't really connect back to that culture. So that's a question that you have to ask yourself. And then if you are going to go the route, because like then your character just effectively becomes American. They're just going to be American. They're gonna act like Americans. Especially if she's from Pennsylvania, you're gonna be looking at people who are like from Philly. What do they act like? What are their favorite foods? How do they talk? Those kinds of things. But if they are indigenous, you have to ask yourself, okay, what kind of indigenous American? Are we talking Mohawk? Are we talking Iroquois? Are we talking Algonquin? Are we talking Powhatan? Like there are so many different things. So depending on which tribe that you are picking, this is where this becomes really intense, and it depends on how much research that you want to do for your character, what you're planning on using with your character, etc. But doing as much research as you possibly can about that specific tribe is going to make the character more authentic than just being like, she's Native American with a big quotation marks around it, because each tribe does have their own unique languages, cultural traditions, way of dress. A lot of, like, for example, East Coast indigenous peoples are mixed black as well because of slavery and how people effectively fled from slavery into indigenous American groups. And so, like, a lot of Iroquois people, for example, are mixed black as well. And so, like, all of these things are really important to take into consideration when you're developing characters that are not the same ethnicity as you. So yeah, research as much as possible. I personally think TikTok is actually a great resource for this, but you need to be able to find creators from those specific tribal affiliations. So if you're going to go with like an Iroquois person, for example, go to TikTok and find Iroquois content creators and see if they're talking about their experiences as Iroquois Americans and what they're going through, because that'll really help you maintain cultural accuracy. Because understanding the culture will help you develop the magic system and also cultural practices if there are any. And like a good example of that is like in the Brady books, Brady's mom is Jewish. Like at some point, I think Helen is like mixed black and Jewish, but it's like Jewish way back in the ancestry line. And so she herself is not practicing Jewish in terms of Judaism, but they do celebrate Kwanzaa. So making those decisions for your characters and understanding like how their culture impacts their religion, their day-to-day life. So Brady technically gets like 3 holiday celebrations because they celebrate not only Kwanzaa, but then also Christmas, because Rollo would have been raised, and Maurice and Liz, the like older generation, would have been raised on Christmas. But then they also celebrate Russian New Year's as well. And so those are like 3 really big yearly celebrations. Things like that. I would also be very cautious about like the trope of like the quote magic Native American. That's a pretty common negative stereotype in writing. That happens a lot where you have characters and their powers are explained because it's like, oh, you're Native Americans, so thereby you have access to like Wampin Tonka, the great creator, and you can go and do stuff. You know what I mean? And so like be careful of that as well, because that can be a potentially like slippery place of territory to be when talking about Indigenous Americans and like quote unquote magic. But yeah, Google. In other words, long story short, the TLDR version of that is Google. Yeah, because it's important to remember too, most Indigenous Americans don't practice witchcraft. Like witchcraft, Wicca, like as we know it today, is like not shamanistic magic. And even then, like a lot of I'm going to use the term medicine man practices because that's what I'm familiar with. So don't quote me on that, because again, my family was really disconnected from tribal life because of what happened to my grandpa. But most shamanistic practices in Indigenous American cultures are closed systems, meaning that most Indigenous Americans don't talk about it outside of their own groups because they're afraid of white people culturally appropriating it. A good example of this is like white Americans using sage to cleanse spaces. There are plenty of types of sage, for example, that are acceptable to cleanse spaces with, but a lot of Americans gravitate toward white sage, which is sacred to a lot of Indigenous cultures, and so it's religiously offensive for people to use white sage specifically to cleanse spaces. You know, it's like things like that. It can be really, really easy to accidentally appropriate certain magic systems. So I do not claim to be an expert in any way, shape, or form at all, simply because I was not raised Indigenous. I was not in connection with my tribe or with any of my family's family. Some of them were on, like, I think affiliated with reses, but not on reses. So, like, the best source of information is always going to be people who do live that experience. Yeah, witches are cool. Like I know, I have like one of my best friends is a Romani witch. Like they're amazing. They're one of the coolest people that I know. So witchcraft can be very cool. It's just about knowing, you know, like what type of witchcraft goes where, which cultures practice what, you know, and not making silly mistakes that could avoid later on. You know, like just to save your own skin later. Yeah, no, it's just something to be cautious of. Yeah, yeah, totally. I'm not definitely not accusing anybody of anything. I recognize it's an easy accidental trope to shift into. The only reason I'm thinking about it is because, no joke, I just watched a Saber Spark video where he was going over a Christian don't do sex PSA, and the character that's teaching the white girl to not have sex out of like wedlock is a time traveling Native American whose dad is Father Time and whose mom is Mother Nature. Why? I don't know. And she time travels using her dad's magic Ford pickup truck. There was so much going on. Yeah, so like I think that legitimately there are some people out there who are like, yeah, this is okay because it's like it's just made up. It's just make believe. But I watched like Pocahontas recently, and I think about how Disney went to full lengths to hire Native American consultants for that film. And even though they had a variety of Indigenous American people on the set to be able to correct poor tropes, stereotypes, like, you know, those kinds of things, and then they fucking ignored every single thing that all of those people said. So like those folks went to the movie theater to go watch the final Pocahontas movie, and they were like, what the fuck? You know, it was just like, what am I watching? Like, this is not at all what we talked to them about. Like, this is the opposite of what should happen, you know? But, like, yeah, it's always better to course correct later than double down. I can think of some specific creators of more recent popular media that have made some pretty bad racism mistakes and then doubled down on it rather than course correcting in a nice way, you know? So, but yeah, research is going to be your best friend. And then, of course, if you can, and if you're going to do anything with this, like, beyond just, like, having fun, you know, sharing it on the internet for funsies, those kinds of things, always running it past somebody who is in the community that you're writing about is never a bad idea. Like, what was I watching? The Twits. I was watching The Twits. It was an animated film from 2025. And they even had, like, the crying Native American man from those, like, littering commercials from the 80s in that movie. And I was like, is that the crying Native American man? I was like, what the fuck? It was a super funny joke. I know somebody was like was in the writers room was like personally hurt by that commercial. Have you not seen the crying Native American man? Probably not. You're Canadian, so you're free. Not to say that Canada doesn't have its own issues with Indigenous Americans, but hold on. Hold the phone. So this commercial was called Keep America Beautiful. It's also known as the Crying Indian commercial. This was a very popular ad from the 1970s. And I'm definitely not saying this is good or accurate. But I feel like it's an important part of American history. And the message of the commercial is good. It's just the execution is so bad. Where is him crying? Hold on. It's iconic. Wait a second.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country.
Where's the tears? Where's the tear?
Some people don't.
Oh my God.
People start
Where is it? Here he goes.
People
The
can
single
start.
tear. No. Okay, so there's this. This is an insanely. So the message, of course, is obviously really good. Don't litter. Don't be a piece of shit. But the biggest problem with this particular commercial is that this man is Italian. This is not an Indigenous American man. This was an Italian actor put in what I think a lot of people would potentially call like red face, where you're wearing, quote, Native American clothing. It's not real. Like, I have a Lakota necklace that looks almost exactly like this, but it's made by actual Indigenous people. I went up to a res in the Dakotas. I visited Indigenous people up there because I was touring America at the time. And so you can buy stuff from Indigenous creators, and that's not a bad thing, right? But like, I think about this dude and his singular tear and how bad of a PR fuck up that was effectively to have that. And like, this is, at least in my mind, one of the better examples of like what not to do. Yeah, no, he's Italian, straight up. No, man, there's the no, Carrick, this is crazy. So there's a lot of controversy within the Indigenous community, especially as of this year, because there was this guy, and the term we use in the Indigenous community is called pretendian. It's people who are so enamored by the idea of being Native American that they're willing to go to great lengths to pretend to be Native American. What is this guy's name? Native American scholar, not native. What is that guy's name? Well, they wrote a big-ass article about him. Not Elizabeth Hoover. Oh, although there's another girl. What is this guy? Thomas King. That's this guy's name. This guy, Thomas King, was considered the Indigenous American historian authority in the academic field for a really, really long time. This is what this gentleman looks like. He was told through word of mouth that he was Cherokee. And so here he is in a lot of traditional Indigenous American clothing. And he recently retired, and he ended up doing a DNA test this year, and turns out, lo and behold, this man has absolutely zero indigenous American DNA in his body. This dude is predominantly Asian and white. So, unfortunately, this kind of wasn't his fault. He grew up thinking, convinced, because his family history told him so, that he was indigenous, and it turns out he doesn't have any. And now, thankfully, he did the honorable thing, and he decided that he's not going to publish his next book, which was another indigenous history book. He moved to Alberta, and he has been teaching since 1980 indigenous studies at the University of Lethbridge. And he wrote a lot of very important books about indigenous history in the U.S. And so it's not to say that his work is not impactful, but he is a member of the Order of Canada and was promoted in 2021 to the Order's highest rank of companion. So he has a lot of stuff going on, but yeah, he's devastated. He said here, at 82, I feel as though I've been ripped in half, a one-legged man in a two-legged story. So he also was, to be fair, completely shocked. But this happens a lot, where because of the film industry in the 70s especially, Italians were effectively cast as everything, and the same thing happens to Filipinos as well. I think about Dante Bosco. He played Zuko in Avatar: The Last Airbender. He's Filipino. He gets cast as Mexican all the time, and so it was more popular to cast Asian or Italian actors as indigenous American people instead of actually casting indigenous American people. And so that's resulted in a bunch of really weird stuff. Really, really weird. So there's a lot of that going on, I think, in the community just as a whole, where it's like, I mean, I have an aunt who, they are very, very white, and I have half siblings or half aunts. So my four oldest aunts were not by my abuelo, who we know is indigenous. I've done DNA tests. I am indigenous. He was indigenous. My mom is indigenous, right? There's no question there. But my older aunts are we're related to a Cherokee woman. And you're like, where? Right? And they do DNA tests, and surprise, surprise, there's nothing there, So a lot of people make a lot of weird assumptions. It's a very weird place to live. But it definitely doesn't just happen with indigenous Americans. There was a woman who was fired from the university that I got my publishing master's from, who was claiming to be black, and she was not black. She just literally lied. she it's so crazy. It's the wildest shit I've ever seen. I was like, girl, what? And it was to get free scholarships. And so that's the biggest fear in the indigenous community, is that the government, out of reparations, gives indigenous people a lot of scholarships and money to go to college, and grants and things like that are only available because indigenous Americans are such a threatened ethnic group, that effectively people will pretend to be Native American just to get scholarships. It's crazy. Absolutely bananas. But yeah, totally. No, yeah, absolutely. It's even worse. Imagine if you could cast a a Chinese man to play a Polish man. And now it's not to say that there are not Chinese Polish people, because you can be nationally Polish and ethnically Chinese, but it would be if you were casting a Chinese person to play an ethnically Polish person. It's so far removed. It's crazy. No, hold on. I gotta show you a picture of this lady, because she absolutely blows my mind. Let's see. Professor not. This lady. Oh my god. Jessica Krug. Yeah, this lady. This lady. This lady was claiming to be black. And it's tough, because you don't want to challenge somebody's ethnicity, right? You don't want to say to a person, you're not black, but because she could be mixed. She could be very far down the line, mixed, right? So you don't know. I've known many different people in my life. The ethnic diversity in America, especially, is very broad. Um, and so this woman, she has a wider nose. She's got a wider nose bridge, um, slightly curly hair. So there is a chance, like further down the line, back in the day, maybe back in her ancestry, she could have potentially identified like as black. But then the problem is that she was doing stuff like this. This is a woman wearing blackface, absolutely bananas, and nobody said anything. Like this is how she would present herself. So she would intentionally perm her hair or wear wigs to pretend to be black, which is bananas. So like people do really weird shit here. And again, this was so that she could teach in an African studies department at a very famous university, write books about black history and black art, and get scholarships, get grants, and not get caught, you know. So it is wild. Yeah, so weird shit happens here all the time. Like, yeah. So point is, as somebody who is, I want to eventually go and get my certificate in sensitivity editing, which is effectively, um, you know, making sure that if you're writing characters that are outside of your scope of experience, which all authors should absolutely try to do, that you just do so with respect. Make sure you do lots of research. Like, I think about that with my Brady books a lot, and I'm constantly worried that, like, people are going to read them at some point, as particularly if they're Ukrainian, and be offended, because some of the series is set in Skola, in Ukraine, but the train station, for example, and the guys who operate the train station all speak in Russian, but that's because I found that in that area, most of the train station signs were in Russian, not in Ukrainian, right? But that might offend some Ukrainian people, because they are having like a very valid like cultural identity issue while dealing with the Russia stuff, right? So it's like those kinds of things, just making sure that when somebody asks you, I can say like, well, Skola is really close to Russia on the map, so it's likely that they speak both Russian and Ukrainian in the area. I'm more familiar with Russian as a language, so that's why I made that decision. The family is not ethnically Ukrainian nor ethnically Russian, but they do have Ukrainian fae in their family. So, making those kinds of decisions, making sure that you just like are researched enough to know what you're talking about if you do make that kind of a decision. But if it's a character that's for funsies and it's just for you, there's less of a there's less weight that gets applied to that. You don't have to worry about it as much if you're just making characters for yourself. But I like to like err on the side of like authenticity always. Also, it is very cool to have somebody from Poland in here, by the way. I think that is pretty dope. I hit the time zone just right that, like, it's, like, nighttime in Eastern Europe right now. Like, I recognize I hit the late night streams over in, like, yeah, Central Eastern Europe. Okay, let me go in here. We got this thing. And we're going to output it. I'm glazing all of my shit so that the AI can't take it. Get out of here, AI. Okay, now we're gonna run glaze. There we go. But yeah, it's a weird issue. It's a weirdly nuanced issue, but I appreciate people asking me questions though. Like, it's always the best policy, and no singular person is ever gonna have the right answer, which is why I don't claim to be an expert on it. I was raised white. I speak Spanish, but like I'm so disconnected from my like Latino family that like I would never ever claim of being Hispanic. Like, I don't identify that way, for example, because I'm white as shit. I recognize what happens to me. So I have Mexican ancestry and indigenous ancestry, but I don't identify as like indigenous American or Mexican American. And that I think is pretty true for like most American experiences. We're very non or heterogeneous, I think is the word, where we are diverse in that way. So it's more common to find Americans who have experiences where they're kind of raised very culturally neutral versus like really strong in one culture or another. Okay. Is it going? It's doing it. Okay, so I'm probably going to call it, I think, for stream. But I massively appreciated all of the awesome chatting and questions and hangout that we got to do today. That was really, really fun. So I'll be back tomorrow if anybody is interested for writing. I'm going to be working on a novella tomorrow. So if you want to stop by, learn more about the Brady universe, I'm going to be working on a novella for a Wattpad contest. So feel free to pop in. It'll be around the same time. Don't forget to follow if you haven't followed. But otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I'll share all of the work that we did to the Discord. And then hopefully I'll see everybody soon. But I appreciate it. And yeah, hugely awesome that everybody hung out today. So thank you so much. And I will see everyone tomorrow. Bye-bye.